Hello everybody, this is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, Daniel chapter 4. If you'd like me to come speak at your church or if you have any questions, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. So Daniel chapter 4 is actually written in a different language. I don't remember the language off the top of my head. I wanted to see it's like Syrian or something like that. But it's the language of Nebuchadnezzar, the people of Babylon. And actually Nebuchadnezzar wrote Daniel chapter 4. So Daniel chapter 4 starts in verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell on all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God has wrought towards me. You know, Nebuchadnezzar wants to tell the people about what God has done in his life. If you remember in the beginning, he took all the people from Jerusalem over to Babylon. He taught them their language, taught them their ways, taught them their language. He wanted these people to basically follow him. And throughout this journey, he's done some things that went against God. And then God stepped forward using Daniel and Daniel's three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to show Nebuchadnezzar that God is more powerful than him. And so Nebuchadnezzar is using this chapter of Daniel to show exactly what God has done. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace. And I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree to bring all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they may know unto me the interpretation of the dream. Now we've already heard one of the dreams about the image. This is actually a different dream. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told them the dream before them, but they did not make known to me the interpretation thereof. But at last Daniel came in before me. His name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom the spirit of the holy gods is before him. I told him the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy God is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the vision of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. Now it's interesting that Nebuchadnezzar is telling to Daniel, I know that you have God inside of you, and you're never troubled, you're never worried, you're never scared. You know, a lot of times people say the same thing to me, like, why are you always so calm? And it's like, no matter what happens to me, I know the end of the story. I know that one day I'm going to be in heaven, so whatever life throws at me, I'm going to get through it. The book of Job's basically being attacked, and he doesn't understand why. And he tries to remain calm because he says, no matter what happens, I'm still going to trust in God. Though he slay me, still will I trust him. You know, it doesn't really matter what happens here on earth, because one day we're going to be in heaven. And Daniel saw that. Daniel knew that one day he's not going to be here anymore, and he's going to be at peace. Thus were the visions of mine head on my bed. I saw and behold a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. That tree grew and was strong, and the height therefore reached unto the heavens, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. So this is a massive tree. This tree is so tall, it looks like it gets up into the heavens. And the leaves therefore were fair, and the fruit therefore much. And it was meat for all. The beasts of the field had shadow under it. And the fowls of the heaven dwelt the boughs thereof, and all the flesh was fed of it. So this tree was so big, the animals would go underneath it to get shade, and also the fruit fed all the animals. And I saw in the vision of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven. And he cried aloud and said unto this, Hew down the tree, and cut off the branches, shake off the leaves, and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls of their branches. So Nebuchadnezzar sees this giant tree, and these angels are coming down, and they're just cutting this tree into pieces, and they're telling all the animals to go away. Nevertheless, leave the stump of the roots of the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet in the dew of heaven, and let the portion be with the beasts of the grass of the earth. Whenever they use the word brass is usually some type of a judgment. So this whole tree gets cut down, and all that is left is a small stump. And they wrap that stump with iron and brass. That way, nothing can happen to it, and brass is a sign of judgment. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. So this tree stump, which we're going to find out later, is actually going to be Nebuchadnezzar. Is going to be cut down. He's going to be no longer really relevant, and he's going to be judged with brass. And God's going to take away his heart and give him the heart of a beast. And it says, let 7 times pass over him. So for 7 years, he's going to go through this. And this matters by the decree of the watchers, and the demand of the word of the holy ones, that the intent of the living may know, that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and grieveth to it whomsoever he will, and set upon it over the basis of men. So we're saying this is happening so everybody can see that even though I think I'm something special, God is the one in charge, and he can judge us. This dream, O King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof. For as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. You ever had a situation where people say, I'm going through problems, but I know you can help me? Well, that's what Nebuchadnezzar is doing to Daniel. He's saying, I'm going through this torment, but Daniel, I know you can help me. I trust in you. I'm giving you my heart and my understanding to what is going to happen to me. Please tell me, because I trust you. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his tongue troubled him. The king spoke and said, Belteshazzar, now let the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream to be them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof is thy enemies. Daniel's pretty much saying, I wish your enemies had this dream, and I wish this interpretation was for your enemies, because this is a terrible, horrible dream. But I'm going to tell you, that tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose heights reached into the heavens, and the sight thereof to the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwell, and upon the branches the fowls of the heavens had their habitation. It is thou, O king. Thou art grown and become strong, for the greatness is grown. It reachest unto heaven, and thy dominion to the ends of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and a holy one come down from heaven, and saying, Hew down the tree and destroy it, yet leave the stump for the roots thereof of the earth, even with a brand of iron and brass, and the total grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let its portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king. This is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon the Lord the King, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling should be the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall they pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth into the kingdom of men, and giveth to it whomsoever he will. So he's saying, you're this giant tree, you're this powerful, huge being that everybody in the earth relies on. You're going to get cut down because God wants you to know that he is the one in charge. And all the people are going to see this. But see, there's good news because they're leaving the stump and the roots there. So one day this tree can grow again. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree root, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that they shall have known to thee the heavens do rule. So once you realize that God's in charge, since you still have roots and a stump, you can still grow. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins from thy righteousness and thy iniquities, by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquillity. Daniel's pretty much saying, this is what's going to happen, Nebuchadnezzar. You're going to be judged. So let's go ahead and try to do everything we possibly can to make this not happen for a while. Let's give to the poor. Let's be nice to people. Let's do everything we can so that you don't get judged soon. It takes a longer time. The question I have for you is, what would it take for God to get your attention? Would he have to sit there and come down and judge you? Would he have to show you something? Would something bad have to happen to your life? Comment below. What would it take for God to get your attention? All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar, And at the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. So after this decree, the king said, okay, let's try to prolong this as long as possible. It only took 1 year. At the end of 12 months, the king spoke, and he said, is not this the great Babylon that I have built for thy house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? You see, Nebuchadnezzar's getting into his head that he did all this, that he's the one in charge, that he is the ruler, not God. It only took him 1 year. While the word was still in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. So after 1 year, Nebuchadnezzar got a big head saying, I'm the man again. I'm the one in charge. All this is because of me. And while he was still speaking that, the kingdom was taken from him. And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So for 7 years you're going to go out in the field, and you're going to eat grass like you're a cow. You're going to eat grass. You're going to lose your mind. You're going to have the heart of a beast for 7 years until you realize that God's in control. In the same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and it was driven from men. And he did eat grass like oxen, and his body was wet for the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws. He didn't get to cut his face or his hair, or he didn't get to trim his nails for 7 years. He's sitting there walking around the field. He's eating grass like he's a cow, and he doesn't get to cut his hair. He doesn't get to cut his nails. He's going to basically be like an animal. He's going to have that animal heart inside him. He's going to lose his mind for 7 years. And at the end of the days, Nebuchadnezzar lifted up mine eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High. And I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. So after 7 years, Nebuchadnezzar goes, wow, what am I doing? I am down here eating grass like an ox, like a cow, and I should be honoring God because God makes and takes away everything. And he finally gave God blessings and honor. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he does according to his will the armies of heaven, and amongst the inhabitants of the earth, and none can say unto his hand, or say unto him, what dost thou? Nobody's going to question what God does. So he used to think that he was the king, he was the one in charge, and nobody can question him, until he realized that God is over him. And he's saying God is the one that's in charge, and who can question him? And at the same time my reasoning returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, mine honor, and the brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my lords sought to me, and it was established in my kingdom, and an excellent majesty was added unto me. So after 7 years of basically losing his mind, he came back to his kingdom, and people didn't question him. They said, oh, you're back, great, wonderful, and things started going back as normal. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and honor the King of heaven, whom the works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. He's basically saying, I realize that I'm not the one in charge, but God is. That the people that walk with God, they're the ones that are actually true heroes. Well guys, that's the video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to, make sure you comment below if you have any questions, or if you want to say good job or whatever. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Like the video. If you know somebody that might like this, go ahead and share it with them. On the bottom right of the screen, I'm going to put the Daniel Bible study. Top left is going to be the Exodus Bible study, and the bottom left is going to be a random video that YouTube thinks you guys are going to like. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, just let me know. Have yourself a great day.